Something's going wrong with my head. I'm a prisoner in my own bed. I don't know how to make it stop. It's easier to bottle it up. These are long days. Don't ask me how I'm feeling, 'cause I could tell you, and my tears might never. Good afternoon, lady. Welcome. Just give it a few more seconds to see who's coming on to join us, and I'll share it out. I hope you're well. Just enjoy this tune for Callum Beattie. Have you heard of Callum Beattie, anybody? Afternoon, Sam. How are you? Just bear with me, pal. Just let people come in and then make the room safe, and then we'll carry on. So we'll let this music play out. So how are you doing? Let me know in the comments how you are. I'm going to try and pay more attention to the comments today. And please share it out if you don't mind. I'm a wee bit nervous today. Don't know why. Well, I do know why, but we'll get into that in a minute. We'll wait until more people come in. We'll make this safe. Good afternoon, Brett, Enan, Bretta at Enan. How are you, my friend? Hope you're well. So yeah, have any of you heard of Callum Beattie? He's a Scottish singer, and this song in particular he wrote and performed for a charity up here in Scotland called Mikey's Line, an unaliving prevention charity, if I said that right. And he wrote that song, and all proceeds from it go to Mikey's Line. So aye, he's an amazing Scottish artist, and I'm fortunate enough to have been part of his marketing campaign for his team on this, and I've appeared in a movie with him even. It's out later in this year, but I'll tell you more about that in time. I'm good, thank you. Is it Bretta? Did I call you Bretta? Instead of saying your whole name all the way through. Anyway, I hope you're well. So we'll see what's happening. I'm going to share it out to a few people, and then we'll see. Take it from there. I always forget to do these things, so I'm just trying to relax a wee bit more today and pay attention to the comments, etc. So bear with me while I invite some people in and make this room a bit safe for yous mainly. I don't mind. I'm an open book what I talk about. So yeah, bear with me, folks. I'll just send this out to a few people.
Well, we're always matching and lowering prices.
Get them along to support, and really to make the room safe as well.
And every week
is the main
with
thing.
Nectar, you can save money on thousands of your family's favourite brands. So your
Right,
money
we'll
can
leave
go
it at
further,
that just
while
now
you
and
don't
see
have
where
to.
we go.
Looking for ways to save money? Ask
Good
Sainsbury's.
afternoon, Pepsi
Sainsbury's
Group.
good for
Welcome to the live.
Selected products, Aldi price match not in NI. Nectar prices require Nectar account. Terms Sainsbury's.co.uk/Aldi.
So aye, today, sorry, I'll just, bear with me, that's my door just went. My son Liam will get it, but the dog Harley just barks like mad when the door goes, so you'll probably be able to hear him in the background. So if you bear with me, we'll let Amy get in, and then we'll start. Thank you, Sam, that's appreciated, thank you very much. Any gifts that I do receive will just be getting put round the network of people that I support and that support me as well. That's really what it's all about, so it's appreciated. Good afternoon, Brian, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Today, last week, as a few of you are aware, that few that joined me last week I told you about my story. And the reason I'm a wee bit nervous today is I'm going to be telling you more about my mum's story. But before I get to that, I wanted to say thank you so much to all the new followers and the people who do follow me on TikTok, Facebook, wherever social media platform it may be, and show me nothing but love and support regarding what I'm going through at the moment with my mum and any area in my recovery that I've went through as well. I've always been fortunate and very grateful to have an amazing support round about me, and it's made anything that I go through slightly easier to get through and slightly easier to deal with, because you've always got somebody to turn to and things like that. But before I get into the story, I do want to make sure that this room is safe. So if any of my moderators are in, can you give me a shout in the comments and we'll get you up in a box. Sam, would you like to come up in a box just now? Where are you? Can I find you? There you are. And then when one of the moderators come along, we'll get them to keep an eye on the comments. Because sometimes when I do get talking, I do get into it and forget to pay attention to the comments. I'm new to the TikTok side of it. Hi Sam. Hi Andre.
Hi.
I can hear him in the background. Hi, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'll mute when you're talking and what have you, because he is.
No worries. I was just saying hello.
Yeah, he's rather vocal today, so yeah.
What is he up to? Is he watching his wrestling or WWE or anything like that?
Oh, he has been. He gave us a fright this morning because we found him on the floor beside his bed,
Oh wow, scary.
sitting cross-legged.
Was
So
he sleeping? Was he sleeping
no,
or
he
was he
was
awake?
awake.
Right.
He was awake on the floor, sitting on the floor, cross-legged beside his bed. Don't know if he fell out. Don't know if he put himself there, but he wasn't going to get up. It took us over half an hour to try and get him up because he's nearly 6 foot and 14 stone. So, yeah, what that was all about, we don't really know.
That's the second similar incident anyway, Sam, over the last few weeks, isn't it? Was it a few weeks ago that on his legs?
Yeah, when he couldn't or wouldn't walk.
Hi, Grant.
Yeah.
Hi, Maggie.
So, yeah, not really sure what's going on, but he's watched some wrestling. He's now watching Man City on the telly.
Oh yeah, I was watching before I came on. They weren't doing too well the last I looked, but never mind.
Oh, they're winning 2-1 now, so he's happy.
So he's happy.
Yeah,
I hear him shouting on the Man City. So yeah, thank you for coming up today, Sam. I'm just going to do a wee introduction and let people know what I'm going to be talking about. But I appreciate you coming up because obviously you're going through this at this very moment as well with Andre. But we'll get more into that in time, and we'll get you to introduce yourself more and let us know more about what you're going through at the moment with Andre and how it's affecting you. Because the topic of today's conversation is dementia or Alzheimer, both the same, similar things, different variations, and there's different variations of dementia as well. And it's a sensitive subject, so sorry, before I go into it again, Maggie, could you come up in a box and do you mind modding for me while you're around at the moment, if that's okay? I'm just really aware, Sam, on TikTok more than Facebook that it has to be safe for the viewers coming in, because we are going to be talking about different subjects here and it could be triggering to some people as well. So I'm going to invite Maggie up if I can find her. And then Maggie is amazing at keeping an eye on the comments and keeping the room safe as well. So yeah, today I wanted to, like I said, last week I came in and talked to you about my recovery, my life, what led me, thank you Amy, what led me into addiction, my childhood trauma, adverse childhood experiences. Hiya Jenny, how you doing pal? Thank you for coming on. Jenny's in my group over on Facebook, so it's good to have some of you over here as well supporting me. What was I saying there? See, I've already forgot. Yeah, last week I was talking about my life and my journey and what led me into addiction and also what led me into recovery, and also how I maintain that recovery. But that can be a difficult process, never mind being in recovery from addiction, but in general, life on life's terms can be difficult depending on what it is that you're going through and what you're facing. And in my recovery, I have faced various different things that are being difficult to manage, to get through, but with the love and support that I've had up until this point, obviously coming on TikTok, but before that from Facebook and the friends and members that I've got in there has really helped get me through some tough times. But as well as that, like I said last week, it's also pushed me through to achieve things that I never thought would be possible. One being qualifying as an addiction support worker, etc., and even running a peer support group. If you had known me 5 years ago, it would never have been possible, any of the things that I've achieved or managed to get through even as well. And that's the topic a little bit in general, what I want to discuss today, is being in recovery and trying to live life on life's terms can be difficult, especially when you're early stages of recovery or you're healing from your trauma that you've went through and you're healing from the physical or mental aspects of your recovery. It can be difficult to deal with your mental health going through that and dealing with things that come up in your life that are unexpected. Part of my early recovery, especially and ongoing to this day, and healing from that trauma and addiction was learning about who I was and why things had happened to me. And that came along in the shape for me for discovering adverse childhood experiences and how they affect you in life and later life as well, and can lead into addiction. But what I really had to control early stages in my recovery or get other ways of coping with was my mental health, because like I touched on last week, the physical side of it is difficult. The withdrawals from any type of substances or alcohol or anything like that is difficult to manage. But for me, the real battle lay with my mental health, not only for the reasons of trauma in childhood, losing my daughter Nicole when I was younger, my addiction, my mental health, but all of that plus what had went on round about me in the previous few years of my addiction, my family splitting up, all the rest of it that went with that, being homeless, etc., etc. And what I had to try and do was learn how to control my emotions better so I could respond to situations rather than react to them. But more than that, so I could deal with situations better that would allow me to manage them better and to be more in the moment, if you want to be there, to be there for the people that I love, my children, my mum, etc. And to be able to support them as a son, as a father, or whatever should be able to do, without my emotions causing me, my mental health to decline and go into depression or whatever. But also that was a balancing act for me, because it was difficult to balance, not getting too low, but also when I was having good times, I found it difficult to enjoy them fully as well, if I'm being quite honest with you. Thank you, Boone, for sharing this out. So that was the battle I faced in the earlier stages of my recovery almost 5 years ago. There's battles from my past, but also battles of my recent past, what had went on around about me with my family, etc., being homeless. But what the unexpected parts that I didn't know I'd be facing back in 2020, when I first got into recovery, it was March 2020. And even back in January 2020, my mum was showing signs and symptoms of forgetfulness. She would forget how to use her TV remote, or how to use the kettle, or how to work her mobile phone. And things like that were happening more frequently throughout for the start of 2020, I would say, or maybe even before that, to be honest, looking back on it. And at that stage in January 2020, she had been out gardening and she'd bumped her head really bad. She'd given herself a total whack and even knocked herself out for a few seconds. And she went up and got a scan and things, and everything was okay. There was no bleeds, and it was concerning because my mum 25 years ago had a brain hemorrhage, an aneurysm, and thankfully she came through that and she was lucky to survive that. So her head was always a weak spot, if you want. But anyway, when she went up to the hospital after banging her head, they said it was okay. And at that stage, I was staying with my mum. I'd moved out of the B&B by that stage, but I was still lost in addiction in January, February of 2020. But when I seen the signs of my mum doing little things like that, forgetting little things that were just so normal for you expect to do without even thinking, and I'm like, what's going on here type thing. And that's where we sort of got confused a little bit. We thought it was maybe because she had banged her head and there was a type of concussion for that. So roll on to March 2020, and we went into lockdown because of COVID and we couldn't go anywhere. But I was staying with my mum at that time. And March 2020, without getting into it all again, was my turning point, was my rock bottom for stopping using substances and to get in and to start facing up to the issues around me and the problems that I'd created, but also the problems, also the issues that I'd been trying to run from my whole life, whether that be the childhood trauma, the grief, the chaos in between that I'd created as well, or whatever else had went on round about me. My escape was to use substances. So trying to deal with that in a better, more productive way was difficult. And that's where the support group came into it for me, being able to go into that safe space and open up about how I was feeling, and not be judged about it, and know that people had been through similar issues in their lives, if they'd been in recovery, for example, really helped me. But it was becoming more in 2020 when we got locked down. It was becoming more frequent that my mum was forgetting things. Like I say, it was just the small things at first, being able to make a coffee for herself, turning the TV over a channel or turning the volume up and down. She was spilling things like cups of tea and things like that. So it was difficult to watch that early stages of her Alzheimer's that it turned out to be. And we did get in contact to get the test done to test for Alzheimer's. And she got that test back in December 2020. And it confirmed what we already knew, that she was suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, a combination of both as it turns out. And I remember, as well as on the morning of March the 20th, 2020, I remember as well as waking up that morning and being absolutely at first disgusted in myself, ashamed of myself because of the night before and bumping into my son in the street and asking for substances and things like that. I also remember thinking, right, what's happening to my mum? I need to be there for her. I had to be there in whatever shape or form that took, and I knew that couldn't be with me using substances. I knew at the time that was no use to her using these substances. As well as obviously a combination of loads of other things, a lot of things around my children that they want to talk to me at the time, and that in itself was killing me. And I knew that to change my life around, to get that trust back from my children, to be there for my mum, that involved no using any substances anymore. I couldn't hide anymore. I couldn't run anymore. I think that's what in my head I was telling myself, time to stop running.
You're doing well, Willie. Just take a breath, darling.
Yeah. Thanks, son.
Take a breath. You're doing well.
I just thought at that stage it was time to stop running. It was time to stop hiding behind substances. It was time to be that son, that father, that person that I knew I could be, and one that I knew my mum believed I could be. Throughout my entire life, whatever it is I've been through, my mum has always had my back, always from day one. No matter what I've done, and I've been wrong many, many times throughout my addiction, she's always been there and never turned her back on me. So at that stage, it was all about, for me anyway, being the real determination for the first time ever to be there. No, for the first time ever, but without substances, to be there for my mum, for my children, and for me as well. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, as people say. I was sick and tired of letting people down. But I was sick and tired of the existence that I was living as well. Using substances for the minute I got up to block out my problems. Looking back was selfish in a way, because I never gave much thought, if I'm honest to you, in the years previous to my kids, and one of them sitting here listening to this right now, or my mum or whatever, because I done what I wanted to do. I hid behind those substances because I couldn't handle the pain that it was causing me. So that stopped on March the 20th, 2020. But that was only the beginning. I didn't know how I was going to turn my life around. I didn't know how I was going to get that bond back with my children, or prove my mum right that I was the person she thought I was, or that I could be. But I was trying. That was the main thing back then. I was trying. But there was a lot of things going on in my head at that time, and my mental health was really tough. It was really difficult to deal with that at that time. But what was most difficult, if I'm being honest, and still to this day is most difficult, is watching my mum suffer, and the ways that she has through her Alzheimer's and dementia journey has been absolutely heartbreaking as a son, and for my family, for her grandchildren, for her 2 daughters, for her sisters, for her grandkids or great grandkids. Right, son. Right, I called you son. Sorry, Amy. Yeah, it's been absolutely heartbreaking to watch that journey. Like I say, in the beginning, it was forgetting how to do little things, and we were in lockdown. And what really, really helped me and my mum at the time was opening my peer support group. Like I say, that was a non-judgmental, safe space to be able to go into and offload. If I needed to cry, then I cry. You have to talk through the tears. And part of controlling my emotions and controlling my thoughts and my feelings and things like that, we're being able to show emotions, we're being able to talk through the tears, being able to have the conversations with my children, with my mum, with my family that I wasn't able to have for all my life, to be quite honest with you, because my emotions got in the way. Whenever we talked about something tough, I would start crying, and then I wouldn't want to upset the other person, so I would stop talking about what it is that I was going through. Thank you. It's appreciated. But in recovery, I had to find a different way of dealing with things. Hiya, Carla. I had to find a different way of coping with my emotions and my feelings, and not only of the past, of what was going on at that time. And I was struggling, I'll be honest with you, I was struggling dealing with what was going on with my mum, watching her deteriorate slowly. She would go through periods of time where she was fine. It would just be a case of she wouldn't be able to make a coffee, or she wouldn't be able to turn the TV remote over, so I would do that for her. And she'd sort of like plateau for a bit, and then she would just take a steep downturn, and then it would lead to, back in the later stages of 2020, her eyesight was becoming more and more problematic for her. Throughout the summer of 2020, that was becoming more and more of a problem. We weren't allowed out because of lockdown, but we were allowed out to exercise for an hour a day or something, I think it was. And from time to time, me and my mum would go a walk around the building, around the area, around the block. And because it was sunny, bright sunshine outside, through things like lampposts and cars and things like that, or pavements, would create a shadow on the ground. And my mum got panicky. She got scared that she was having to step over something, or she was having to step down from something, or she'd fall. Her eyesight was letting her down because of the shades from the sun and the shadows on the ground. She thought it was something to step over, and that was just another sign of the Alzheimer's, the dementia taking hold at these early stages. So thank you. So going out became more and more difficult. We would go out from time to time, like I say, for walks, but getting down the stairs, she stayed in a high-rise set of flats, and she was 3 up, and my mum was claustrophobic. She couldn't go in the lift, so it would always have to be up and down the stairs, and getting up and down these stairs was really, really difficult. My mum used to get really, really scared going down the steps because all she would see was massive steps, and she thought she was going to fall. And that was difficult to watch that, our independence getting taken away little by little in these early stages. Being able to do silly things like making a cup of tea, turning the TV over, even being able to use our mobile phone was a big, big one for my mum to deal with, not being able to use that anymore. I used to get messages, loads of messages every single day that would just be mixed up letters and numbers and what have you, with occasionally little words that I could make out, and I'd try and piece together that sentence to be able to reply or whatever else, but it wasn't making much sense. So instead I would just phone and what have you instead. And then back then as well, we got an Alexa, I don't know what it's called actually, an Alexa Chrome thing, and it's basically a monitor screen that you can drop in and you can go live in a video chat, and it shows you who's in the room and my mum's and what they're up to, and they can see you, and then you can have a two-way conversation, things like that. So that really come in handy for myself and family being able to drop in on her to make sure that she was okay throughout the day, when we were elsewhere or we were busy working or whatever the case may be. But staying with my mum in the first year or so was really difficult from that aspect of watching her trying to deal with the fact that she'd been diagnosed with dementia, trying to deal with the fact that she had it, that these things were happening round about her. She was getting confused a lot because she wasn't able to do the things that she was normally able to do. But on top of that, she was really stressed and really upset and emotional about being diagnosed with dementia in the first place. I remember her saying 6 months into it, after being diagnosed, why is this happening to me, William? Why does everything like this happen to me? And I couldn't answer her, and I broke down, and I remember saying to her back then, just do me one favour, Mum. Just please never ever give up. Keep fighting. You fight. You fight and I'll fight. That was the type of thinking we had back then. And she promised me she would never fight, and I'll tell you what, she's a lady of her word, because she's still fighting these days, to this day. But back then, like I say, I was coming up 2 years in recovery back in 2023, and at that stage, part of my recovery has obviously been there for the ones I love, my children, my mum in particular in this case. But part of my recovery is obviously healing from previous traumas, from my addiction, and creating a better life for myself. So it was difficult to manage that, because obviously I was there trying to help and support my mum. But I had good support in the background, like I've said before, for Teresa, for example, who's in the lag just now, who helps me run my group over on Facebook. I had a lot of good support that I could, to help me in all different aspects of my recovery, but mainly to be able to go and talk to be able to open up, to offload to. And that really helped me manage my mental health back then and what I was dealing with my mum. But back then I wanted to, like I say, improve my life. I wanted to also show my mum that she was right for what she said, that I was capable of doing more with my life and helping other people. And I was beginning to help people in the support group that I run. People were listening to what I was talking about and could relate to it, and were private messaging me and saying thank you for talking about that. And it's been an absolute privilege in the nearly 4 years that my support group's running, that I've heard literally thousands of people's sometimes horrific traumatic stories, but it's an absolute privilege that they trust me to share their stories with me. And the power of that connection and being able to offload in a safe space is what helped me. So to be able to offer that to other people is such a privilege. So back in 2023, I can't remember who it was at the time, to be honest, but one of the members and friends for the support group sent me a link for the Scottish Drug Forum to become an addiction support worker. And at the time, I thought, when I looked at the application form, I thought, never in a month of Sundays am I going to be able to get this. They're never going to employ me, all that type of thing. I'd never had a rubbish work history because of my addiction, you know what I mean? So I'd never had consistent work over the years, back and forward in between jobs, etc. Excuse me, folks. So I thought, no chance am I going to get this. Then there was also the thoughts of how am I going to manage this, because it was a placement course where you'd be put into placement for 6 months of the 9 months that the training course took place. So that meant full-time work. Getting back into full-time work was always a goal. It was always a plan of mine, but I didn't know how I was going to manage to achieve that with my mum going through her dementia journey as well. But like I say, it wasn't just me dealing with my mum's dementia journey. There was also my family as well, my sisters, and like I say, she's got a big family that we all love her and she loves us, and there was a lot of people there to help. So it wasn't just all on me. So I decided to go for that, and thankfully I was able to get that job and get that opportunity, and I've done the 9-month course and qualified as an addiction support worker. Now, whilst I was doing that, I'd also moved out of my mum's because my stepdad Davy was through staying with her at that stage, and like I say, my other family members were about at the time as well. I was homeless, and I was on a homeless journey at the same time, and I got offered a homeless accommodation. So I moved into that, and I started my new job with the Scottish Drug Forum, and it was quite difficult going, I'm not going to lie. It was difficult doing all the training and the studying for the SVQ that I now thankfully have. And it was difficult, all that side of it, but it was also really enjoyable. I really enjoyed learning all the different aspects of addiction, mental health, recovery, etc., etc. And it was balancing out quite well. I was enjoying doing that. I was put into placement in an organisation called Turning Point here in Edinburgh, and it was the organisation that I went to in 2020 looking for help, to help with my addiction when I was at rock bottom with my addiction. I'd reached out for help, and I'd went to Turning Point, But I was under the influence of these street Valium at the time, and I can't remember too much about it. But as it happened, when I was doing the course with the Scottish Drug Forum, I was put into placement back down in Turning Point. So that was quite surreal at first. It was like a full circle event. I was now in there learning how to become that addiction support worker that would be there to help other people through their addictions and to show that there was a way out, there was a hope, there is hope. When you're lost in addiction, you lose all hope. And it's hard to see a way out at times. So being able to do that course with the Scottish Drug Forum and being in Turning Point when only 4 years previous to I'd went there, or 3 years previous to I'd went there looking for help, lost in addiction, was some turnaround. And doing that and it was bringing me my first real sense of pride, if you want. Pride's a thing that's difficult to accept or to acknowledge in recovery, for me anyway, to be proud of things, because for so long I'd felt guilt and shame and all of that type of stuff about what I'd maybe done in my addiction and things like that. So pride was something, and still ongoing to this day, that I have to work on, but that gave me a real sense of pride, training to become an addiction support worker, but also being able to balance that with helping to take care of my mum and the pride that she was seeing in me for doing that. She absolutely loved the fact that I'd able to turn my life around and to help others. That's what made her pride in me, not just as a son, but justified, in my eyes anyway, for the very first time, was when I got into recovery. And then I opened my peer support group, and I was helping a lot of other people as well as them helping me. And like I say, with the peer support group, it's not just me runs it. I've got a few good friends, Teresa, who's in the comments to now at the moment, and my good friend Scott and Margaret, they helped me run that group as well. So not just down to me. I couldn't have done all what I do if it was just down to me. I'm only one person, eh? But being able to do that course and qualify as that addiction support worker was the first time that I'd felt that pride. But it was amazing to be able to do that and to show my mum that I was capable of achieving what she thought I was and turning my life around. What was quite sad about that, when I qualified as an addiction support worker, my mum's dementia at that stage had progressed quite significantly, and she wasn't able to come through to Glasgow to attend my graduation, which was sad, to be quite honest with you. But I still had my son Liam and my daughter Amy there with me, and that was an amazing feeling as well to be able to be able to stand there in Glasgow City Chambers, and the building was out of this world. It was marble. It's got more marble in Glasgow City Chambers than it's got in the Vatican, for a useless fact there. But being able to stand there, get my graduation certificate, knowing that I'd achieved something that I'd never thought that I personally could achieve, but I'd proved to myself and to others around me that I could turn my life around. You know what I mean? That type of thing. It was really overwhelming at times, and having to stand up there and give a speech was really emotional. But it was good to be able to do that as well. My son and my daughter there as well, and even my daughter Amy was crying when I was walking back to my chair. But when I came home, Amy recorded it, and I went right up to my mum and I showed her that video on her big telly, and all of us were in floods of tears. And one of the things that keeps me going, before I go into more detail about how it's progressed since then, one of the things that keeps me going most in my recovery, in daily life, is the fact that my mum got to see me turn my life around. And not only got to see me turn my life around, no matter how much dementia tries to take everything away from my mum, and it's taken 99% away from who my mum is and who she was. But no matter what it's tried to take away, it's never taken the fact away that my mum still knows that I'm in recovery. She still knows that I turned my life around. She still asks me, like she did a couple of days ago, "Are you just finished work?" So she still knows, so no matter what, the years and years of my addiction has been healed, and my mum got peace for that in the 4 years, in fact 4 or 5 years of my recovery. And that right there is priceless for me. It inspires me to keep going on a daily basis. So I qualified as an addiction support worker back in June 2023. No, April 2023. And in June 2023, I started working down in East Lothian as a peer support worker in recovery cafes, in smart recovery meetings. I was facilitating smart recovery meetings, and I had my own clients who I was helping to support through their addictions and to try and help them find recovery, etc., etc. But then during that time of working down there, I had only started that job, and about 4 weeks later, when I was off with COVID, my mum had a fall. She was lying on her couch one afternoon, and she had a fall. She'd dropped her cup of juice, and she'd went to pick it up, and she'd fell off the couch and banged her eye off the side of the couch. She gave herself a bang, and no one was in at that moment. I was over in my own house at that time because I had COVID. And my stepdad was out at the shops, and the time he came back, he found her. So we don't know exactly how long she was lying there, maybe a couple of hours at most. But because of that, she went into shock, and obviously I was over in my house, but with the Alexa thing, so I was dropping in, and my sisters were there, and we got an ambulance, and she got taken up to hospital. But her body did go into shock because of the fall, and however, if she got knocked out or whatever. And when she was up there, she was seriously ill, and because of the shock to her system, the dementia was causing hallucinations, it was causing delirium. She was really, really poorly. She was really, really ill back in July 2023.
That's when I'd seen her, isn't it?
That's when you seen her as well, my girl, yeah.
You were still ill with COVID.
Yeah, that's my daughter Amy. You want to come and say hello? Back then I was still working at the time, and I was trying to, when my mum initially had the fall, come and say hello. This is my daughter Amy, folks. She's just making something to eat. But what was I saying to Amy? You put me off by talking.
But you were working back then, you were still working.
Yeah, but when she got taken into hospital, I remember going up every day after, when I got rid of COVID, I'd got some time off of work actually, and I was going up there, and me, Amy were going up with me every single day without fail, other family members of course as well, and it was touch and go for the early days and weeks, to be honest with you, and it's been touch and go since. Watching my mum with delirium and hallucinations in that hospital was absolutely horrific. She would be frightened and scared and screaming and shouting because she thought she was going to fall again. She was reliving the fall over and over in her mind, and the hallucinations were causing people from her past and random people from whatever she was seeing in her head. And she was getting scared, and it was absolutely horrific to see. But on top of that, she wasn't eating at all either, and it was touch and go for such a long time. With the eating aspect to it, I remember them saying to us, if she makes it to, if she goes over 30 days, then it's touch and go because she's not eating at all. And she was put on drips and things like that from time to time. And towards the end of that 30 days, myself and my sisters had to go in and have a conversation with our consultant, and they suggested putting a do not resuscitate on my mum. And that was a difficult one to accept. I wasn't for it at first, to be quite honest with you, and I still found it difficult to accept. But the reasons behind it was because at that time, if my mum did have a cardiac arrest, which was highly likely at that stage because of all the circumstances she was in, that trying to bring her back, the pounding on her chest and what have you, and the way her brain was with the delirium, the hallucinations, the dementia, it would have been cruel. It would have been cruel on her to put her through that and to have no quality of life if she had managed to come round. So grudgingly, I suppose, along with my sisters, I agreed to put the do not resuscitate on, fully expecting all of us as a family to lose my mum in the coming days, hours, days, whatever the case may be. But the days went into weeks, and she got past the 30-day stage where she hadn't eaten. And I can't remember exactly, but it was a few days after that she began to eat little bits, and they'd put her on a drip to rehydrate her. And then she would start eating little bits and pieces that were feeding her, like ice cream and custard and things like that. So that was helping her get a little stronger, but it still wasn't enough to maintain her body and her weight and the battle that she was facing. So it was still really touch and go for a long, long time, and still is, like I say, to this day. But she got to July, August, September, October. She got to 3 months in, and she'd managed to fight and for 3 months, and she was in a stable enough place that physically she was okay. She managed to start eating bits and pieces more at that stage. She was drinking plenty. Her weight wasn't decreasing as rapidly back then, and the hospital had done all they physically could do for her. But she still wasn't, she was still obviously bedbound, and she wasn't able to do anything for herself because the dementia had taken fully over, almost fully over my mum at that stage. And like I say, hallucinating and having delirium on top of that was really hard to watch, and that's what, thank you, and that's what they were trying to get under control in those early stages. So she got transferred to an NHS care home called Ellen's Glen, which was another difficult process to come to terms with, because throughout my life, before my mum was even diagnosed with dementia, my gran was diagnosed when I was 20, like 30 odd years ago. And since then, my mum always said the two biggest fears I have in life is, one, having dementia and forgetting my children and my family, and two, is being put in a care home away from my children and family. But unfortunately, circumstances meant that that was the only option that was available for my mum, for to provide the care, the 24/7 care that she needs. And in her best interest, we reluctantly agreed, if you want, that she would be moved into Ellen's Glen Care Home. That was in October 2023. And like I say, back then it was like living in that limbo land that was waiting on the phone call at any given moment to say that she was no longer here. And it was scary. It was scary to wait on that, to be waiting on that phone call, wondering when your mum's no longer going to be here, but to also watch her suffer in so many different ways. By then, it was and is a really difficult thing to deal with as a family. Watching somebody suffer from dementia is ultimately the toughest on the person going through it, of course, but the family watching that is absolutely horrific. And the memories that I've got, I'll never ever forget. It'll never leave me. I'm just hoping in time that the many, many more good memories that I've created with my mum will come through more. But so yeah, she was moved into the care home in October 2023. And like I say, I was still working at that time. I'd go down to, after my work, I'd go up and visit her in Ellen's Glen. But the problem being then was, she'd went from one bus journey away, maybe 3/4 an hour on the bus, to 2 bus journeys away, an hour and a half's travel there. After work, maybe even 2 hours with the time of night the travel was. So it was more difficult to go and visit her, because obviously I was trying to manage work. I was trying to be there to help as much, to see her as much as I possibly could, but she was getting taken care of. And at the time, there was a few times that I thought, I don't know if I can continue this, maybe I should give this up and be there all the time and all that type of thing. And then I would always think, no, that's not what my mum would want. She wouldn't want me to give up my career. She wouldn't want me to give up what I'm trying to achieve, and that's certainly not what she would want. So I'd done my best to manage my work and going up to visit her as well, but it did become more difficult. The travel aspect of it alone, and not driving as well, made it even harder. So if we visiting every day when she was in hospital, that would go maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I'd go up a couple of times during the week after work, and then at the weekend, as much as I possibly could. But I'll be honest with you, the last few months in particular, that's been a lot less. Well, I say a lot less, it's been a couple of times a week. And that's purely for a selfish reason. For me personally, it's so difficult to watch my mum deteriorate for such a long period of time. And like I say, that is selfish, because I often sit at night and say, I'm going to go and visit my mum tomorrow, and then when I wake up, my first thought in my head is my mum okay? Have I missed any phone calls? Is she still with us? That fear is there instantly as soon as I wake and open my eyes. And that fear at times paralyses me, and it stops me from going up because of the fear of losing her. And that's a battle I've been fighting more and more over the last few months. And I had that battle earlier on in the week on Thursday. I was meant to be going up on Thursday morning and I never went. Instead, I sat here and I was crying and I was upset and lost in that, and my mental health, wasn't very good, and I was lost in that fear zone. But for whatever reason, being able to write a post that I put up on Facebook and put into my group, it got me thinking differently, and eventually later on that day I went up to see my mum, and I'm so thankful that I did, that I pushed through that fear and went to visit her, because I got to spend more precious time there that I wouldn't have got to do if I never went up. I even fed her some dinner and played some music, the things that are important. You can't control everything else that's going on round about you, and I can't control anything, unfortunately, that's going on with my mum, but I can control the small things. I can make her feel at ease, less agitated when I'm there. I can play music and distract her mind. I can hold her hand, stroke her hair, all the different things like that. So I'm so glad that I went up on Thursday to see her, because one thing I didn't want to have when my mum no longer is here is regret. Because one thing, if I'd never got into recovery and never been able to open up and speak to my mum about different aspects of things that I'd went through and things I'd done in my addiction, and be able to apologise for these things and heal and get that forgiveness, although she never ever held anything against me, then, you know what I mean, I would have still had that guilt and the regrets and the shame and things like that. And that's one thing that recovery has given me, is no guilt and no shame, because I've made peace with my past and made peace with the people in it that I've affected and hurt, and we're healing together in that journey, that recovery journey. Excuse me, folks, got a drink. So I managed to go up, push myself through that and go up on Thursday, and I also went up yesterday with Davey and my sister as well, and we went up to see her. So yeah, in the last 16 months that she's been in Ellen's Glen Care Home, it's been such a difficult thing to watch her deteriorate. She's went from 11 stone back in July 2023 down to under 4 stone now. She is bedbound. She can't do anything for herself. She can't go to the toilet. She can't eat, anything like that. The dementia has taken pretty much 99%. Sorry, Sam, if this is triggering for you. I understand that it can be triggering for a lot of people. So please, if you need to drop down, Sam, I totally understand. And the dementia is I'd say 99.9% taken over her brain. Most of the time she's in her own wee dementia bubble, which most of the time, weirdly enough, is I'm glad that she is at this stage, rather than being aware of her surroundings and being aware of what's going on around about her, that she's miles away from her family, that she has the dementia, that she doesn't know where she is, things like that. I wish, I'll be honest with you, I wish that I could have kept her home and taken care of her. To be honest with you, that would have been the ideal scenario, but it wasn't possible, unfortunately. And it's difficult watching anyone you love suffering in any shape or form. But I would say, thank you, Maggie, I would say, in my case, in my opinion, dementia is one of the cruelest, longest, it's called the longest goodbye for a reason. You lose different aspects of that person, who they were, what they were to you, what you went through together. You lose different aspects of that every single day. More importantly, they lose different aspects of themselves every day. Their independence, their thoughts, their memories, their lifestyle, you know what I mean? It takes so much away from that person. And like I say, being a family member, watching that person suffer is absolutely one of the most, well, not even one of the most traumatic thing I've been through in my life. And I have been through a lot of traumatic things, but watching my mum suffer. My mum is 72, Karen, thank you for asking. 100%, well, it's heartbreaking. It really is, Anne-Marie. And I'll be honest with you, I was a wee bit nervous. I was a wee bit hesitant to coming on today and sharing more about my mum's story. But I wanted to come on because it's so important to talk about these subjects that we all go through that didn't get spoken about enough. Whether that be addiction, mental health, but in this case dementia, Alzheimer's. We didn't talk about these subjects enough, and in Britain today there's 1 million people suffering from one form of Alzheimer's or dementia or another. And of those 1 million people, 70,000 of them, over 70,000 people who suffer with Alzheimer's or dementia have got onset early dementia, which unfortunately Sam, who's in the box today, son Andre, suffers with frontal temporal dementia. And I'm going to invite Sam up in a minute to introduce herself and let you know a little bit about Andre's story. But I would say that I've known Sam for the last couple of months, and it's been an absolute privilege and pleasure to get to know you as a person, but also to get to know a little bit more about Andre. And can I say that you, along with others, are an absolute inspiration to me to keep going as well. How you deal with your circumstances at the moment and find the strength to push through on a daily basis not only inspires me, but will inspire a lot of people. It's such a difficult disease to watch somebody suffer from. It's the leading killer of any in Britain at the moment in the world. In the world, there's 55 million people suffering with Alzheimer's and dementia at the moment. 55 million people. Can you imagine how many more millions and millions of family members are there watching their loved ones suffer? And these subjects didn't spoken about enough. And things like Alzheimer's and cancer and addiction and mental health and all that, there's nowhere near enough funding for them either into research for cures for Alzheimer's. There's Alzheimer's research, etc. And they say, quite close to a cure, and they're coming up with new tests and things like that all the time. And I'll be honest with you, it does worry me. It does worry me more and more in the last few years that my gran had dementia. My mum now has Alzheimer's dementia. And I'm worried about, not only for myself, although there is that aspect of it, but I'm worried that my kids are going to have to watch me suffer in the same ways that I've had to watch my mum suffer, because I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It's absolutely horrific to watch. You're so articulate in the way you explain everything, makes it easier to follow you than the GP. Oh, thank you, Boom, that's appreciated. But thank you for everybody for coming along and listening to a little bit of my mum's story where her dementia. There's so much more to my mum than just her dementia story. My mum is the most beautiful, amazingly strong woman that I've ever had the privilege to know in my life. And to be able to call her my mother, I'll always be grateful for. And along this journey of recovery, I've managed to bring my mum into my recovery world, which has been absolutely priceless as well. As part of her dementia journey and part of my recovery journey and being in my support group, for example, I do walk and talks from time to time. I've not done one for a while, but my mum would get involved in them. She would come along to the walk and talks, and she would meet a load of members from my group and go for a coffee and a walk along Portobello Beach or up the town in Princess Street Gardens, wherever it was. And that was an actual lifesaver back then, because we were locked up. We would only get out from time to time. And connection back then was difficult, whether it was for me and being in recovery because we were locked up, or the connection that my mum needed because of lockdown with COVID. It meant that my family, my sisters and that couldn't come, our grandkids couldn't come to visit at times because of the restrictions. So being able to have that release of being able to go out and walk and talks and be able to meet members. Hiya Joe, how are you doing? Happy birthday Joe, happy birthday. I hope you're having a good one, my friend. And I'll see you tonight on the party that Laura's organised. Wish I could be as strong as you, Willie. Do you know what, Andy? Sometimes I didn't feel strong. I know that I'm strong. I know that I'm stronger now than I ever have been, than I certainly was when I was lost in addiction. But some days are harder than others, of course, and sometimes I didn't feel strong. Sometimes it gets to me. We're only all human, but I just think it's so important that no matter what it is that we go through, we talk through it. Talking is what saved my life. Being able to open up now, whether it be on here or in my group, but more than that, to be able to open up to my daughter, to be able to open up to my kids, to my mum, to say what's on my mind, how I'm feeling, that's saved my life. Talk through the tears is exactly what I do, because that talking saved me. And that's what, man, why would the live end in 5? Come and have a look at this, Amy. Drag the puzzle. Sorry, folks, it's saying my live will end in 5. So I've no idea. Oh, that.
You fixed it.
Aye, it was asking me to drag a puzzle piece in to continue the live. Anyway, aye, so I'm stronger than these days than whatever was, Anne-Marie. Thank you for your comment. But I do still struggle. But what makes that easier is the support and the connections I've got around about me. Not only with my Facebook group, it has to be said, I've got so many good friends that I've met here on TikTok as well. A lot of yous in the comments as well that over the last few months I've got to know a lot better. Who are Maggie there, for example, and Sam and Laura, Joe, Boom Pow, lots of yous, without getting into names because I'll miss somebody out and I'll upset someone. But you know what I mean, it's really about, for me anyway, it's been about the connections you make that makes that process, whatever it is you're going through, just that wee bit easier. My daughter Amy says to me a few years ago, and she's sitting here on the couch, I said, we were doing a live, the first ever live that Amy done with me in my group, and we were talking about how my addiction affected her, affected my family and things like that, and then we were talking about what my recovery was doing as well. And somebody in the comments asked her, what do you love most about your dad? And I'm like, oh, what's she going to say here? And I always remember it, she says, I love that my dad just makes things that wee bit easier. If things are shit, sorry for the language, or things are tough, then my dad will make that a wee bit easier. And I got choked up at the time because I remember thinking, you know what, if I can make your life a wee bit easier, my mum's life, anybody's life a wee bit easier, then that's good enough for me. You know what I mean? If people or my children want to know me for making their life a wee bit easier, then I'll take that every day of the week. Because for long enough and for many years of my addiction, I made their lives a bit harder, that's for sure. So, oh, thank you, Maggie. So it's appreciated. So that's why I wanted to come on today, no matter if I cried or no, or no matter how difficult it was, because these subjects, these topics need to be spoken about. If we're going to raise awareness and break stigma around these subjects like Alzheimer's, then we need to talk about it, no matter how difficult that is. And with that in mind, I'd like to, Sam, if you would like to unmute yourself and come and let us know a little bit more about you and introduce yourself, that'd be really appreciated, my friend.
Hey all. I'll first of all apologise if you hear lots of woos in the background. That could be Andre, so I do apologise. He's rather busy.
That's just Andre saying hello.
Hey. There we go. Yeah, so much like Willie, this is how we've sort of connected is through our journey with dementia.
Yeah.
My son Andre, who you can hear in the background, is coming up, he'll be 24 this year, but last June at the age of 22, he was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you process something like that, Sammy? I mean, was there signs before it?
There was. We went through an awful time leading up to the diagnosis. I mean, he had a job. He was working, you've all probably heard of the car manufacturer Lotus.
Yes.
He worked at their big head factory in Norfolk, headlining cars. His girlfriend lived with us, they were engaged. So he was leading a normal life.
Yeah, life.
Then little things, it was behaviour to start off with. His behaviour started to change. His then girlfriend had mentioned a couple of things to me that he'd done, which then resulted in him being arrested.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you telling me, but his sexual inhibitions were being more because of...
Yeah, and little did we know that is one of the first things to go with FTD.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know, you've never been affected with it right before, you wouldn't know what to look out for. Especially being young, obviously. Andre was only 21, I would imagine, back then.
Yeah, you know, it was... I mean, in the process before the dementia diagnosis, he actually got diagnosed as being autistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was sort of a big relief because I'd known all his life, bless him, there was something, but we never got the support.
Yeah.
So he got the diagnosis of autism, but there was still something not right. Parents' intuition call it. You always know when there's still something not right with your children. Doctor's appointments, and we got an MRI scan booked. We went for the results, and the consultant looked at us and was like, if I didn't see Andre sitting in front of me, I thought this MRI scan would have been somebody in their 70s
Wow.
because of all the frontal atrophy that we can see. And he just looked at us. This was our local hospital, and he said, I'm at a loss. He said, I can't help you. And we were then referred to Adam Brooks, which is a big hospital down this way. Referred to them to their special dementia team. And it was just through tests. He had their blood tests, and it came back that he had it's genetic.
Right.
It's a protein, a MAP protein it's called, and it's that's given him the FTD.
How do you process something like that as a parent, Sam, at that stage? How did Andre deal with it? Was he verbal at that time?
Yes, he was still verbal, not talking as much,
Uh-huh.
but he was still verbal. You know, he was still able to laugh and joke with his brother and tell him to F off. But then it got so it was very random things he was coming out with, albeit funny, but random.
Yeah.
And then slowly, I can't even turn around and say when he became completely non-verbal. It was just like a slow decline that one day, no words. He never spoke again, just the noises.
Overnight, basically, that's when it happened.
No, it's just sort of over a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Just less and less words were being spoken. And yeah, to the point where now none.
Could I ask you a question, Sam? And you don't need to answer it, obviously, but see in those earlier days when you were looking for answers, when you got a diagnosis, you wouldn't have suspected dementia, of course. But how was Andre coping with it when he was able to verbalise maybe how he was feeling in those earlier days?
He didn't know. He didn't understand.
Right. Well, that's something, at least, because it's
Yeah,
difficult to watch my mum try to process that.
You know, we sort of sat down and tried to explain as plainly as we could that he was poorly, basically.
Yes.
That the easiest way to put it for him, that his brain wasn't very well, because not being funny, how many 20-year-olds fully understand what dementia is?
No, of course not.
They don't. So we just sort of said, you know, your brain's poorly, so you've got hospital appointments to see if they can help, which obviously when we found out it was dementia, we knew there wasn't going to be any help, but yeah.
There's very little help out there, Sam, isn't there? I mean, my mum got a Alzheimer's Scotland nurse to come, which I was very grateful for, to come and see her once a month. But that was it, really. You're left to get on with these things yourself, aren't you? Find the support and help that you need for yourself a lot of the time. Well, that's what I found anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we've got his, obviously, through social services, which is about all. We've now got his care package in place, so he goes to his day centre 4 days a week. He has his weekend respite once a month. So we've got that, you know, and that helps. And Admiral Nurse, you know, we have the support of an Admiral Nurse who's been amazing. She's just a wealth of knowledge and somebody that I can phone up, and if I need to pour my heart out to, she's at the end of the phone.
Good. That's so important, somebody that understands it as well, that you can afford to.
Yeah, and I mean, she's introduced us to dementia support groups at our local hospital. I've been to one. Again, and this is no disrespect to anyone else if this comes out wrong, but I find going to dementia support groups hard because everybody's older.
Yeah, no, I understand that fully. I mean, it is an older disease. Like I say, there's a million people suffering with it, and the vast majority are over 65. And it used to be that was the case, that the elderly population that was more diagnosed with and get things like dementia and Alzheimer's. But more and more these days, there's not as young as Andre, of course, but there's a lot more younger people getting
Yeah.
it.
But, you know, they sort of said, you know, I think the youngest person who attends is early 50s.
Yeah. So
You
that's
know, so I do find it quite difficult. I mean, we can all connect because obviously we're all in the same boat, you know. Whoever, you know, you're caring with someone with dementia, that doesn't change regardless of age.
no,
But
but
sometimes it's
individual
difficult for
individual
me.
journeys are different, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and it's difficult for me to sometimes connect with people because they are older,
Yeah.
you know, but
Do you not have a like a I don't know like a dementia support group for relatives to go to, like sons and daughters, parents and what have you, or a younger based group for relatives dealing with families with dementia?
no, there's nothing like that. And I mean, this is what I'm hoping to do in the future is be able to set up some kind of support network and group for younger family members that are affected by dementia. You know, if it's their nan or their granddad, you know,
Yeah,
sometimes the younger, you know, like you say, you've got your son and daughter,
yeah,
and that is hard for them. If I could create a safe place for them,
yeah,
somewhere where they can come and feel at ease and able to talk without having to worry about pressuring their mum or dad
yeah. I
about
understand
how
that
they're
totally.
feeling. That's because obviously I've also got, you know, Andre's got a brother
Yeah.
who's 22,
And
who
how does he deal with Andre's condition and being diagnosed with it?
he struggled.
Yeah,
He struggled massively because he suffers with his mental health as it is. So, you know, he struggled massively, but he's now moved away to Nottingham, started university, so he's living his life, but in the back of his mind, he's now been told there's a chance that he will carry the gene for FTD as well.
yeah, yeah. And that's scary. You know that as well as myself. That's the scary part. I mean, to you know what I mean? It can have consequences, implications throughout life with children and things like that moving forward. If they do carry that gene.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to make a decision. He can be tested to see if he carries the gene.
Yeah,
Then obviously, if it's found that he does carry the gene, he then has to look as if he wants to start a family. That could then be passed down onto his children. So
yeah,
whether he would adopt, it's a lot for a 22-year-old
yes,
to process. So he's just sort of said, I want to get uni done.
yeah,
And he wasn't going to go to uni. And I was like, look, your brother is an example of why you should go and live your life.
yes, 100%.
He wouldn't want Tyler, as much as they fought and argued growing up, he wouldn't have wanted Tyler to mope around. He would have wanted him to go to uni. So that's what was done. And now I've also got the decision of, do I want to be tested
Yeah, that's
to see
what
if I carry the gene? And as much as I now know it wouldn't be my fault, if I found out I did carry the gene, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself because I would think that I was the one who gave it to Andre.
But that's the genetic side of it that we've no control over. Sam, hasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but
And
it's
truly,
just
I
that.
understand where you're coming from. I really do, because I'd be similar if I thought one day, if you could predict that one of my kids was to get dementia through the gene that I maybe carried. But at the same time, I mean, for example, my daughter Nicole was born 35 years ago, and she was born with Down syndrome. And both me and her mum got tested to see who carried that gene. But there was never any blame
Yeah,
attached to that, you know what I mean? Because it is genetic, it is out of our control. So I understand it, really, because, like you say, that wee sentence, "it's come from me," that's a big thing in your head, you know what I mean? That it's
yeah,
something that's out with our control, eh?
yeah. It's just getting into my mind that it is genetic and what
Yeah,
have you, but it is, you as a parent, anything happens to your children, if you can find the slightest way to blame yourself, you
yeah,
will.
yeah, I know. And is
So
the Andre, does he receive, I know, I can't remember the name of it, but I know that my mum, up until 19, 20 months ago, she was, the first 2 or 3 years, she was receiving a tablet for, to slow down the Alzheimer's dementia, and whether it works or not, I'm not too sure. But does Andre receive anything like that that could maybe slow down the effect?
no, the only thing that they've given him is citalopram,
Right.
even
And
though
have
that's an
you, have you even, have you
antidepressant.
even, have you even discussed or heard of the medications for it to slow it down?
We've discussed medication with them.
Hmm.
Um, the citalopram, he said, I know it's an antidepressant, but it works differently for people with dementia.
Yeah,
It just takes that edge off the anxiousness they can get.
yeah,
So he's on 20 milligrams of that a day. The only other medication that would be available to him is if the irritability and if there's any aggression or anything comes out,
yeah.
all they can give him then is a tablet to calm him down. But as a result of slowing anything down, there's nothing for him.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's like it's too far advanced. The damage is too far, if you know what I mean, for to reverse, not to reverse, but to slow down even.
Yeah, and they've also said when we've been to clinic, the rate that they've seen Andre deteriorate is quicker than what they're used to with older patients.
Yeah, and that again, that's where his age is probably against him again, eh? Because the more active your brain is when you're younger, then the quicker the disease spreads.
Yeah, this is what, so even for all the consultants at Adam Brooks, they can't basically, because he's the youngest they've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, all they've basically told us is to prepare for that it's likely he won't see his 30th birthday.
Wow, wow. How you even deal with that, I don't know, Sam. How is daily life for you at the moment? You said Andre goes to a daycare centre, but everything else, like you and your husband take care of Andre, don't you? You don't have carers in the house and stuff?
No, we don't have no carers in the house, so at home I do his personal care and hubby helps me when he's at home because obviously he works full time. So yeah, we do all his caring. We have a bath lift because he's not able to get in and out of the bath. So we've got a bath lift. He's padded 24/7 because he just doesn't know when he needs to go to the loo. So to change him pads. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a commode to start off with, but now he doesn't even know when he needs to go. Bless him. So yeah, it's
Well, I was just reading a couple of the comments here, Sam. You're such a strong woman, and I totally agree with that. What else was I going to ask? So, the daycare centre that Sam goes to, how long has he been going to that?
just let me think. Where are we now? February. That'll be. I think it was May time last year. So nearly a year he's been going there now. It's funded by a charity called Fitzroy. They've got places, homes and day centres sort of all over the place. And the reason I chose that day centre is because I actually worked there when Andre and Tyler was growing up, and they used to come down there and they knew the staff, they saw the members.
It's weird how life goes like that sometimes, eh? You work
Yeah,
there,
I mean,
would have
I
imagined
can,
years later.
I mean, I'm a very down to earth person, you know, dark humour gets me through and what have you. And I can remember Andre hadn't long been going, so obviously a lot of the members there still recognise me from when I worked there,
Yeah.
and some of the parents recognise me as well. And went to pick Andre up one time, and one of the members come over to me, Down syndrome, lovely lad. He always remembers me from before. And his mum had come to pick him up, and she looked at me and she went, "Oh," she said, "I didn't know you'd got one of these." Which I know that sounds, but that's just how you are. And I said I didn't until 6 months ago, and she was like, "What?" And then told her, and she couldn't believe it. And I think that's what gets everybody is the age.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Going through dementia at any age is horrific, but watching your son, I can only imagine, son. So obviously the day centre helps Andre because he goes out and does various different activities. I've seen bowling videos and all different things like that. It must help you as well, just give you a little bit of respite, although having said that, you're having to travel with Andre there and back, so it's a couple of 100 mile a day, travelling back and forward as well, eh? So,
Yeah, it's about 100 miles. Yes, Andre, exactly that. I
right, right.
know. Are you telling Willie it's a long way?
Yep.
Yeah, you tell him. Yeah, so it's about.
How's he in the car? Does he like to travel?
Oh God, yeah. He's got his own playlist on Spotify. So he either has that on, or he has his playlist of all his WWE entrance themes.
Yeah.
So the journey too can be quite noisy like that. And
Yeah.
when you're doing a long journey, yeah, it's. But yeah, it's about 100-mile round trip each day, and we do that 4 days a week. So
And that's
by the
mental
time,
training as well, driving all that
yeah,
distance. You drive them, and then you get home, and then within a couple of hours you're having to leave again to go and get them. So,
Joe's just asked what's his favourite song.
yeah.
Oh, blimey. It would have to be Cody Rhodes' entrance music, Kingdom, or Will Smith. And don't ask me where Will Smith has come from, because he never ever listened to Will Smith growing up.
Which one?
Well, Will Smith comes on in the car, and the whole car is actually shook from side to side where he's been jigging up and down his seat at traffic lights. So, yeah, it's.
You know
Yeah.
what? You know what? But just getting back to that comment a few up there, while I remember what I love about you, Sam. Right? It's difficult going through obviously what you go through with Andre. It's difficult to deal with on a daily basis with your mental health as well. But still, despite all of that, you try and raise awareness wherever possible. You appeared on a Channel 4 documentary or a programme on Channel 4 about Andre. Could you tell us a little bit about that? How that
Yeah,
came
I saw it on. I'm actually on a disability network group for Norfolk on Facebook, and a assistant producer from Channel 4 was wanting to speak to people regarding the MIG cuts, which is basically your personal contribution to your care.
Yeah.
And drastic cuts have been made. We're affected a little bit by them at the moment, but more so when Andre hits 25 is when that'll hit us more. And so it was just asked how we'd been affected by personal budgets and social services, and yeah, so we was approached and asked to tell our story with social services on there, because we've had to fight tooth and nail and still didn't get the full care package we required. We had to give something up to be able to get something else.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Isn't it? The state of the system.
And we've actually sat and thought about it, and we're actually doing. So we asked Andre had a taxi to start off with, taking him to and from day centre. So that was paid for, and the maltings, and we were paying £150 a month towards his care. And we just said, look, we need one weekend a month, we need some respite. So me and my husband can have at least a couple of days together on our own, because we're tired.
Yeah, of course.
His budget won't cover that.
No.
So I'm like, right, okay. So if you want respite, you're going to have to give up the taxi or move him to a day centre closer to home.
So they don't understand that I was comfortable there as well, and moving them in itself would be traumatic for Andrew.
We said that to him. I explained why we had chosen the day centre that was far away, the reasons behind it. But they were still like, well, look at our list. Let's go do some taster days. We'll just go do a taster day. And I'm like, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. So in the end, we had to give up the taxi and take him ourselves, so that money could be used for respite. But now we are doing more work to get the respite we needed in the first place when we weren't doing as much.
Sorry, Alan. Sorry, Sam. Alan, could you just mute yourself for a minute, mate? Thank you, buddy. Just because you're walking. Thanks, mate. Sorry,
Yeah,
Sam.
so we were obviously doing more work to get the respite we needed when we weren't doing as much and needed it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. To tell you that, well, to get respite for what you're going through, you need to give up this or move on closer, or it's absolutely ridiculous. The system is broken, to be quite honest with you.
I mean, this week, as you know, I've not been good at all. You know, from probably Wednesday afternoon, I had to ask hubby to stay at home from work Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Because I was in no fit state to drive Andre to his day centre or pick him up. I have just basically walked around the house with tears streaming down my face for no reason.
Well, you've got every reason, but you just couldn't pinpoint a specific one. That's all.
And sorry, they're coming again now. And
that's okay.
I have just felt exhausted. And I said to hubby, I said, life would be so much easier if I just walked out that front door.
Yeah.
I said, just let me walk out the front door and just go.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be so worthwhile, but Sam, that's for sure.
Yeah, it got me like that, and I'm still not 100% now.
No, of course not. Of course not.
But I'm a lot better than I was yesterday and especially Thursday.
Good
But this is what people don't see, because it was last minute that hubby had to phone his work and say, look, I can't come in.
Yeah.
And they were arsey on the phone. And I get why. Do you know what I mean? I do truly understand why they were. But nobody truly, unless you've been there, everybody, because I used to work where hubby works. I used to be a bus driver at that place. Yeah. So I know them all, and they knew me as the life and soul of the party, always joking and what have you. They don't know what it's like to sit and watch your son. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Taking
I totally not understand.
My son's pad, you know, at 6 o'clock in the morning. Finding him on the floor this morning.
Yeah.
Wondering if he fell. Or the other week when we had to get the paramedics out because he couldn't or wouldn't walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I think that's the parts that nobody sees because or understands fully either because you're not going through it. Like people say to me or yourself, oh, you're brave, you're strong, you're amazing to come on and speak like this, but it's the bits in between in the background that that's the hardest to deal with.
You know, it's just raising the awareness of, you know, like you say, there's lots of adverts about dementia. You see the adverts, and at the moment they seem to be doing the rounds. I don't know if it's because we're going through it, but every advert or every other advert I've seen at the moment, even Cadbury's
Yeah.
advert at the moment is based around Alzheimer's, and
And then you've got the
it's
soap operas. I don't watch them anymore, but I think EastEnders is doing an Alzheimer's storyline at the moment as well.
yeah, and it things like that. It hits you, but by coming on and talking about it, we might be able to make a family who, God help them, I hope it doesn't, but if they are then affected by dementia,
Yeah.
they might have heard, they've listened to your story, they've listened to my story, they've listened to somebody else's story about dementia and thought, hang on, okay, my husband, my wife, my mum, my dad has got dementia. These people went through it. Let me go back and look at their videos.
Yep.
Let me see what they said. Let me see if there's a bit of advice or something I can take from that. And if somebody can look back on that in 5 years' time and look at one of your videos or anybody's videos and be like, wow, they got through it.
Yep.
This is what they done, and it helps them. Then it's
That's what it's all about, Sammy, to show others that they're not alone when they're going through whatever it is they're having to go through. And dementia is a journey in itself. But what it has done, like, there's not very many silver linings, if you want to call it that, for want of a better word. But what it has done is it's brought people like ourselves together. I would never have known you. I never knew you up until a couple of months ago. And yours and Andre's story touched not only my heart, but also many other people's, whether it be on TikTok or Facebook or wherever. And one of the people that we both know and are friends with is a guy called Dazza, who does a live on a Monday evening, who you became friends with 3 or 4 months ago, whenever it was. And now, as a consequence, we're becoming friends. Dazza, Alan, who's above us in the live, they're going to be climbing Ben Nevis in April. And that's to raise funds for Andre's bucket list. It's for to create memories while we still can, while you still can with him. And to hopefully help get him to Disneyland is the ultimate goal. And I'd like to bring Alan in now, if you want, to tell us a little bit more about that climbing. And introduce yourself as well, Alan, if you want, mate, because...
See, Andre, here's my name, and he's like, yes!
That's it.
Alan's there. It was the time it was absolutely perfect.
there you go.
Absolutely. I can't stay on long today. I'm absolutely fucking freezing. And ADHD and autism. There is a warm hoodie in the back of my backpack. But ADHD autism is saying, but then you have to take the backpack off and unzip it and get yourself fucked, you know. My head's not just doing it.
Before that even happened,
Aye. But Ben Nevis, I will get myself out of my comfort zone. I'm going to be a wee bit terrified, I'm going to be a wee bit apprehensive, but I'll still be doing it. I'll still be climbing it for awareness, for funds, for connections, for memories, for Andre especially, and Sammy Jo and her husband Alistair, but also for just a wider community of people living with this horrific illness, you know. I see it with Sammy Jo and Andre more often now, but obviously I see it with the gentleman I work with is that.
You want to tell us a wee bit about that, Alan? Like, you work with, is it Sport and Memories it's called?
So it's Movement for Memories with Edinburgh Leisure's Healthy Active Minds, but Sport and Memories is going to be coming on the 19th of March in Meadowbank Stadium, which is going to be a club for specifically for people living with dementia and other neurological brain conditions, but also people living with loneliness and isolation as well, which can sometimes just be coupled in, but that's got to be every Wednesday 1 till 2:30, and it's just an easy group for people to come in, talk a wee bit about sport and sort of memories, sport and trivia, bring in just any kind of trivia, music, historical facts about Edinburgh, whatever it might be, and then a cup of tea, a wee biscuit, maybe a cake if we can sort of push the boat out. And this is launching on the 19th of March this year. I recently done my training for Sport and Memories, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's kind of just given me this. It's given me this understanding that when I see the gentlemen I support at Edinburgh Leisure's Healthy Active Minds with gym sessions, and see positivity, obviously, but I also see that the person is disappearing sometimes. That's tough. It is actually tough because I'm a volunteer. I'm insolvent to emotion, or I should be able to say, disconnect your emotion from your volunteering role. But it's tough
Yeah.
when this person that's looking to you for guidance through confusion of dementia, and there's nothing really much I can do except sort of make things a bit easier during the workout, and tell that man not to worry about being confused about zipping his jacket up and down. Why I don't know how it goes.
Alan, I've not asked you this before. Why is it? So you get not like the dementia. Has you had experiences with dementia at all?
My previous job was palliative care with
So-
dementia. So before I stopped working full time, I worked with one gentleman and 4 women who were all near end of life with,
Wow, mate, that's amazing.
but different stages of dementia as well. Even though they were coming into, some of them were in palliative care, it was long term palliative care. They might not be, they might have not been full stage of dementia, but
So different stages, but of dementia.
yeah, and it was about waking up that wee lady in the morning or that gentleman in the morning and making sure that every single day wasn't just about remembering. This was in the page job. Wasn't just about remembering themselves and who they are and where they are and what we're doing today, but making them remember to themselves that every day is really, really special. Make every day really, really super special. Talk in beautiful, soft voices. Like, yeah, a bit of banter and stuff's lovely, but this person's waking up. These people are waking up every day in absolute terror and fear.
Yeah.
Because they don't know who you are sometimes, and they don't know who they are. And are they in this? Is this house theirs? This is no my house. That must be absolutely horrific. That must be horrific for a brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was about normalising that. Yeah, this is tough, but we get through it. And Andre's story is absolutely unique because it should not be. It shouldn't happen to anybody, but it should not be happening to a young laddie at 23-year-old. This should not be happening. I talk about this very. I was at a meeting with a new private gym in Medibank today. Just a very quick sort of chit chat with a couple that I've just opened it and are running. It's called Movement Edinburgh. Andre's story come up, Andy's Mat Club come up, Movement for Memories come up, and he said to me, we have watched you on social media. The amount that you give back to your communities is, how do you get the hours in a week to do it? Like, how do you get the hours in a week to get your 8 workouts done? All the volunteering, but I said, because through anxiety I will struggle to get over the front door, and the way to get through these anxious feelings through a neurological brain is remember your purpose and your worth that you've grew within yourself by doing your volunteering, is get over that threshold of your front door, get out and do your run, get out and do your gym session, or get out and volunteer and get back. your community does need you and they appreciate it. Do you know? It's important. It's important to anybody, but
So,
that guy
have you ever
was.
climbed any mountains before, Alan?
Have I fuck?
No.
Oh, sorry. Well, sorry. Wait a In Ireland,
I
I
didn't
was
count Alpha Seat in that, by
17.
the way. You can't count Alpha Seat.
No, no. I've never even climbed Aphrodite.
You've never?
I've never climbed Aphrodite in
That
my
does
life.
surprise me because you're running about here, there, and everywhere, and how you've never
I'll
done
run.
Alpha Seat, I don't
I'll
know.
run round it. I'll run round it, but I won't run up it.
Right.
But I climbed a mountain in the south of Ireland when I was about 17, and it was high. It was probably as high as Beth Evans, maybe higher. And I remember it just being this absolutely terrifying experience of me sitting going, "Ah!"
Are you scared of heights by any chance, Alan? No.
Absolutely. I've
Oh,
got vertigo.
oh,
I've got
same.
vertigo.
Oh, well,
So
rather you than me then. I'll wait at the bottom for you coming back down.
it's but it's all good because what I'll do is there's support around me and it'll stop that worried
Yes.
uh,
You'll push each
it'll
other
stop
through.
that worried and I'm out of my comfort zone and it's for good causes and my, my knees will be killing me by the time I get up there but
Well, to be honest, at least you're fit enough, Alan, because like I say, you never stop these things, so.
I don't no I'm just heading home now to finish off my best friend's birthday present, write our birthday card, that's already made. Our birthday card was made last night. But our birthday present is a canvas that has a mirror on it,
Mm-hmm.
actually on it already. And it's basically shoulders, head, and hair of anybody. And it's about looking into it, looking into the canvas, but looking into the mirror and reading the affirmations that'll be on it tonight
Yeah.
once I've finished it. The affirmations of letting go of stuff and rising, life rises, we rise, and stuff like that. Just giving her this positivity. It's
Yeah.
my friend Mary lives with FND. Aye, finish that off. Still not got TV, no TV, but do you know what? It's been like 10 days now and I'm totally
There's a lot
acclimatised
of TV
to
before, but
exactly. Now I've realised that I didn't actually watch that much TV.
yeah, I've never
So
watched much TV at all on my recovery at all. Yeah,
aye,
I haven't turned it on. It's
I've got
depressing.
loads of other things to be doing with my life that's watching telly. So, but Sammy knows we've got her back. I said that in the WhatsApp message this morning about Audrey's wee finding her on the floor, obviously, and having to get up, which is no easy task. But she knows he appreciates it.
Yeah.
She knows this, and she knows that that our feelings are validated through her son, and that Sammy, when you were saying that sometimes you just feel like you want to walk in the door and not come back, that is an absolute natural thing to feel. But when
Yeah,
you're,
guilty one, but
should never feel shame or guilt through an honest feeling.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
take it to yourself, understand where that feeling comes from, and why it's
aye,
there.
aye, exactly.
yeah,
Never feel shame or guilt through it because it's an honest feeling. It's openness and it's vulnerability. At least you're saying it. You know.
Yeah.
So
In your head is a massive thing.
aye, what's that I say? I say to you quite often, you can't control, you can't hold what's not in your hand. So if it's in your head, get it out,
yeah.
you know. But we're always there for support. My hands are absolutely freezing. I didn't realise how cold it is. I know, Andre, help me. But
Also, he's standing here with no top on at the minute.
is it?
We have
Tell
a
him.
thing now. When we're at
Uh-huh.
home, he won't keep a top on.
Tell him it's no Titty Tuesday, but
Oh yeah, it's not Booby Tuesday.
it's not Booby Tuesday. You can
Not
only
Booby
get your top off
Tuesday
in the house
yet.
on a Tuesday.
But
Right, that's it.
that's
I've got to start. I've got to start going topless in the house on a Tuesday now.
just
But
on your own, mate,
well, the cat doesn't judge. You know, he sits on
Exactly.
command, but he doesn't judge.
I've got that.
Absolutely. But listen, I can't really stay on because I didn't get a great signal when I turned the corner to my street either.
No worries, Alan. Thank
Uh,
you for coming on, mate.
but
As always.
yeah, I just wanted to pop in, show face, you know, walking about, trying to be like a beautiful human and that. But you know where I am on WhatsApp and stuff, and enjoy the rest of the live as well. All right.
I'm almost done, mate, I think, to be quite honest with you.
I'm having all the carbs tonight. I'm having all the carbs. I never buy bread. I've bought this like amazing tasty bread. So I'm buzzing like an old fridge. So I am.
Go on and enjoy.
But listen, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Andre, have a brilliant day. Get your top on.
Bye, Alan. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening today. See you later.
Take care.
I think Sam, unless there's anything else you would like to discuss, I think that's us. Amy here is just about ready to leave, so I'm just going to say goodbye to her as well. But before,
Yeah, okay, darling.
no, there's no rush. I'm not going to finish it right now. I'm just saying we'll probably.
Whoopsies, no titty Tuesday. Yeah, that comes about because Andre's day centre he goes to, on Tuesday, it seems that him and his support worker Daniel like to go out on the bus and like looking at all the nice, as you can hear, the nice young ladies. So it's, yes, no, Andre. It's known as Booby Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah. Everybody should have a Booby Tuesday.
To the point they even leave a picture of boobies. They draw a picture of boobies for the deputy manager for his desk on Wednesday morning when he comes back.
I've just seen a comment there. It's from Anne-Marie. Willie, your wee mum has a beautiful face, and you know, to look at her face, you know she's very loved. Thank you, Anne-Marie. That's
Oh, Willie's mum is gorgeous. She's an absolute warrior.
I'm so glad I look like her. Take half of that
Yeah,
one.
well, she shared her good looks with you.
Sorry? Yeah, she did. Do you know if I had a penny?
Shared her good looks with
I
you.
would look like her. I'd be but yeah, I just want to say to
Andre.
Andre, hello. Thank you for no, it's fine. Thank you for coming on, and it's appreciated, Sam. And thank you to every
No,
single
you're welcome.
in the comments as well. Thank you to Maggie for moderating as well, and to to everybody for connecting. It's really important that we can connect in a positive way and help support each other. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you.
I will be on next Saturday. Don't know what the topic will be, but again, thank you so much for the love and support that I've received from all of you. Even yesterday, I was.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, my girl. Love you, right?
Love you.
Yesterday, I put up a post of a picture of my mum's. Just said, well, sorry, it was Thursday, saying I was struggling to go up, but then I eventually did go up. And there was a lady that I'd never even met before on TikTok actually, who reached out to me and says, could you send me a picture of your mum? I'd like to do a memorial slate. So I was like, oh, that's a bit overwhelming. I didn't know the lady, but she very kindly, she's made me a memorial slate with my mum's face on it and things like that she's posting out next week. And the support has been amazing, whether it be on TikTok or in my support group. I've got many good people there that help support each other in whatever way, shape or form that may take. And that's really what it's about, the connections we make it easier to get through whatever it is that we're going through on a daily basis. And just while I remember, because it just popped back into my head as well, I was saying to you that Alan, who was in the box a minute ago, and my other good friend Darren, who does Daz's Mental Health Monday on a Monday evening, they're going to be climbing Ben Nevis. And part of that is raising funds, like I say, for Andre's bucket list to hopefully get him to Disneyland Paris. And if you'd like to donate, they've started a GoFundMe, which is on Darren's page. I'm sure it's on Alan's as well. I did try and put it in my bio, but when you click on it, it doesn't work. So it's also on Facebook as well if you want to get it. But so if you'd like to donate, it'd be really appreciated. I know that every little penny helps. And it's like I say, it's about creating those memories, those moments that matter. And when you're going through something like this, it's the small things that matter. It really is. The things that are in our control, the time that you spend with your loved one, you know what I mean, holding their hand, whatever the case may be, playing music. It's these moments and memories that keep you going. throughout this horrific journey that is dementia. If you are going through Alzheimer's or dementia, or a loved one is going through it, then please reach out. Myself and Sam are always here. Find
Yeah.
a direct message, and if we can help support in any way, then we will. But there is a much larger community as well, obviously on TikTok, that I'm a part of. There's Maggie, who's in the comments, who moderated for me today. Normally on a Sunday afternoon, Maggie runs a chronic illness awareness live for the Potsy Botsy, for the chronic illness warriors, and that's a great safe space as well. We've got on a Sunday evening, we've got Carla, who's in the comments, does a DA support live on a Sunday evening, and there's a lady coming in tomorrow evening to share, tomorrow evening to share her incredible story. I'm looking forward to seeing that. So there's really great communities out there. There's really great safe spaces as well. Darren's that I mentioned already on a Monday evening. We've got Laura, who does our meditation and mindfulness on a Wednesday evening. So there is great safe spaces out there for you if you would like to get some extra support or just listen in, and it may help you, you never know. But also, we also have a Discord community which Maggie started, which is an amazingly safe space as well. And it has different rooms in it for different subjects and different topics. There's a recovery room, there's a sobriety room, there's the chronic illness warriors, different rooms for them, there's a mental health support room, there's also holistic healing with Laura. So there's different topics that we help support each other of. And if you do know me and you would like to get involved, Colleen has a empowerment section, etc. Brogan and Brenda. So if you'd like to get involved with that and get that extra little bit of support, and you do know me, then please give me a private message and we'll arrange that in the background. It really is the banter room. Who can forget the banter room, Joe? We can never forget. I really go in there. I'm frightened in case Chaos Reigns picks on me. I'm look at them. But no, there's different rooms for different topics. So there's a lot of things that help support each other with whatever it is that we're going through in life. And that's really what it's about, is the connections we make as well. That helps us along that way. So please feel free to PM myself and we'll get you involved in whatever we can and wherever the support is you may need, because we definitely are stronger together and we're definitely not alone, that's for sure. That's the biggest thing I've taken out of my recovery, that I'm not dealing with everything like that I'm going through on my own, and knowing that is a lifeline at times for a lot of people. So please come and get involved in any way, shape or form you may want to. Also, another option for you, Sam has recently joined my support group over on Facebook. It's called Our Willie's Peer Support Group, and it's another safe space, similar to what I do here, although I come on 2 or 3 times a week and go through whatever it is that I'm talking about and connecting with others in a safe space. I actually had Sam on about a week ago. Sam, you came on and shared yours and Andre's story.
Yes, it was, yeah.
And it was an absolute privilege and pleasure to have you on there. So it's another safe space for people, just offering that support and connection where it might help. So if you'd like to get involved in any of that, then please feel free to send me a private message and we'll get you connected. And like I say, connection really is the opposite of addiction, mental health, isolation, loneliness, whatever it is that you're going through. Just that little bit of connection can help get you through your day and make things just that wee bit better. Well, anyway, folks, I wanted to say again, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch up with you next Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock, or on one of the other people that we support and follow on the other lives. So all that is left for me to say is, it really is okay not to be okay. And we need to learn, like me and Sam, to talk through the tears.
Most definitely.
Talking through our tears, talking through our emotions, having the conversations that we need to have. That means that you know the best when the time may come. So please be safe.
I think I've got someone who wants to say goodbye to everyone. Hang on. Andre, going to say goodbye to everyone.
Bye,
thank you for your support.
Enjoy
your support. Good lads. Take care, everyone.
And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.